I started my career thinking about how do you get investment into the things which we need the most. But actually, the innovation doesn't necessarily happen at the level of finance. It happens at the level of how do you organise all the different elements so that you do look at it and you go, oh, this is an interesting system. So for example, and I take no credit for it, it's a team that I used to run, worked on a natural flood management scheme. So they'd looked at a river catchment area, and the statistics were very clear in terms of the flood damage and the cost of that. That was going to create about 15 times more damage over 13 years than the cost of the intervention. So it was it was like, well, it was a no-brainer. Well, they're all going to invest in the intervention. Only the difficulty is that the benefits of that were spread out between farmer, local authority, water company, environment agency, all these kind of groups who are not likely to get into the same room with one another. And if they do, they're holding a lot of stories about themselves and the other, like, well, we've got no money. They're going to only think about themselves. All of these things which get in the way of being able to realise that value. And in some ways, what designers can most help with is that process of collaboration that can unlock that investment. Because the other part of it is that once you've done the first one, the pilot, and you've been open about the learning, the second one, you can share the learning. The third one, you can say, here's how the last two work. Then you're saying, this is how this normally works, so that you're not doing something exotic anymore. And what we saw in the early days, so I was doing wind farms in late 1990s, being told by the government, well, this is all very trivial and expensive. As it turns out, it's not so trivial and expensive now that it's the cheapest form of electricity, marginally in the UK. The reason for that is not just economies of scale. The reason for that is the social capital which is built by successively repeating processes so that the friction's taken out of it, demand grows. This is the endogenous growth cycle that enables repeated kind of exposure to make the efficiencies to allow it to compete. People were writing off things like the solar industry when it came out the first time, EVs, batteries, all of these things. We're seeing that shift. Everything that you might be looking at in terms of emerging solutions might look similar, but it's thinking about how to organise those elements so that you get the first, second and third ones done in the right way, get the learning out there and drive those efficiencies over time.